모습인데.
멋있다. 사람이 달라 보이네요, 저 PD.
감사합니다.
근데 오늘 출연할 게스트하고 음악하고 좀 무슨 관련이 있나요?
글쎄 굳이 의미를 찾는다면 이번 주 게스트는 이렇게 아름다운 하모니를 만들어낼 수 있게 조율을 해주시는 분이라고 합니다.
역시 박 작가는 햄버거예요, 햄버거. 음악은 음악, 그렇죠? 아주 잘해요. 그래요. 이번 주 게스트는 다문화 국회의원 1호 이자스민 의원입니다.
그런데 다들 다문화라는 말은 어떻게 좀 생각하세요? 익숙해요?
근데 우리나라에 지금 살고 있는 외국인 수가 이제 150만 명이 넘었다고 제가 이제 들었는데 이제 그 정도면은 미국이나 캐나다처럼 거의 이제 멜팅팟 수준에 저는 단계에 있다고 저는 생각이 들거든요. 근데 이 다문화의 개념은 아직도 조금 아리송한 것 같아요. 그 경계가 무엇인지.
근데 보통 다문화라고 하면 동남아 여성이 한국 남성과 결혼을 해서 한국으로 이주해서 사는 경우밖에 딱히 생각이 안 나거든요. 그렇죠. 아마 대부분의 사람들이 그럴 거예요. 결혼 이주 여성, 또 동남아에서 오신 분들 많이 생각하는데 사실 다문화는 훨씬 더 의미가 클 것 같아요. 그래서 정확한 다문화의 그 의미가 경계가 어딘지 이자스민 의원에게 좀 여쭤봐야 될 것 같아요.
근데 이자스민 의원도 처음에 국회에서 일할 때는 그 다문화라는 말을 없애고 싶으셨대요. 왜냐면 그 단어가 생긴 후에 오히려 차별이나 편견이 더 심해졌다고 하더라고요.
재미있네요. 그리고 약간 의외인 것 같아요. 저는 다문화면은 여러 가지 혜택 뭐 이런 게 있을 것 같은데 왜 그렇게 했는지 분명히 이유가 있을 테니까 그것도 한번 좀 체크를 해봐야 되겠네요.
근데 이자스민 의원도 처음에 한국 온 계기는 그 남편분하고 결혼 때문에 오신 거 아닌가요?
그렇죠.
근데 이제 국회의원 되기 전에 방송이나 영화에 출연을 많이 하셨어요. 사회활동을 많이 하셨더라고요.
저 완득이에서 봤는데 완득이 엄마로 나오셨잖아요.
국회의원이 된다는 것은 한국 사람에게도 대단한 일이고 다문화 이주 여성에게 더 어떻게 보면 성공한 인생이라고 할 수 있는데 분명히 이주 여성으로서 힘들었던 점도 많을 거예요. 그래서 그거에 대해서 좀 여쭤봤으면 좋겠어요.
그러니까는 이 이자스민 의원처럼 정말 능력 많은 그 이주 여성들이나 그 외국인들이 많은데 그러니까 이런 분들이 능력 발휘를 할 수 있는 기회가 더 많아져야 된다고 늘 말씀을 하시거든요. 그래서 그런 거를 위해서 지금 노력을 하시는 거고.
그래서 이런 활동을 시작하신 것 같아요. 꿈드림 학교라고 작은 학교를 만드셨는데 이주 여성들이 자립할 수 있는 방법을 알려주는 학교라고 하더라고요.
그 첫 번째 강연을 이자스민 의원이 직접 하셨죠.
누구보다 현실적인 이야기를 해줄 수 있을 것 같아요.
이 의원을 통해서 그 다문화의 우리에 대한 생각, 우리가 가지고 있는 생각이나 인식이 많이 바뀔 것 같은 생각이 들어요. 좀 기대되고. 아무튼 근데 키워드를 이제 좀 정리를 해볼게요. 첫 번째는 뭐가 있을까요?
일단 대한민국에서 첫 번째 다문화 국회의원.
그리고 또 뭐가 있죠?
다문화 사회라는 키워드로도 얘기를 좀 해볼 수 있을 것 같아요.
그리고 또 뭐가 있을까요?
꿈드림 학교에서 구체적으로 어떤 일들이 펼쳐지는지 한번 보기 들었습니다.
뭐 이 키워드 외에도 아주 다양한 얘기가 나올 것 같아요. 좀 기대되는 대화가 되겠네요. There are 1.5 million foreigners currently living in Korea, and about 200,000 of them are in multicultural families. But how open and accepting are Koreans of these minority family members? We'll have a chance to consider that question in our interview today with the first naturalized National Assemblywoman, Jasmine Lee. Ms. Lee, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for asking me to be here.
Our pleasure. Now, I think it's almost 1 year to the date that you started work as a
Yes.
National Assemblywoman. How has the past year been?
Well, I really don't want to look back on how it has been, but it has been very busy actually. So can't really imagine it's been a year now, but I've been absolutely busy because not only the fact that you're
as you mentioned, the first naturalized member of the assembly, because you know you have all the media with you, and all of the people asking how you've been doing. It's like history in the making, and then people are like all looking up to you. And of course, being the first doesn't really have all the perks that you would actually have. You know, you can be loose when you're not the first one, but when you're actually the first, people will actually look up to you and will look at every detail that you're doing, and then they will actually try to see if you're doing good, if you're doing bad. One wrong move, and you know, you get to worry that there won't be any second, there won't be any third. I adjusted well enough. I needed, a lot of people think that you will actually need at least, ordinary people will need about 6 months, but you know, for you, being a naturalized Korean, you will actually need at least a year to at least be comfortable with what you're doing. But I think I'm getting the hang of it. And as of the moment, I'm chairing the Multicultural Policy Forum. I'm the chairman of the Multicultural Policy Forum, and it became a lot of help for me. And I received lots of help from fellow assembly people too. So they're assisting me with everything, and they're good with everything. And I'm in good terms, I think, with either the opposition party people or with my own party. So it's kind of a good thing, and yeah, I'm hanging on. That would be
Well, good for you. And I can imagine the pressure, as you say, of being under the spotlight, not only from Korea, but also from maybe the Philippines as well. I imagine there's quite a few people there who are looking at what you're doing here as well.
Yes.
How's the media been from the Philippines?
Not only back in the Philippines, I think when I had, there was an article in New York Times about me, and there's a lawyer from the U.S. He's specializing in immigration, U.S. immigrations, and he came to see me. He particularly came to Korea. I mean, he has something to do with in Japan, and he wanted to come to Korea so he could see me because he saw the article. So not only back in the Philippines, but also back in other countries. And being a part of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the Assembly, you get to meet a lot of foreign people. You get to meet ambassadors. You get to meet a lot of. You get to go outside of the country and meet a lot of fellow parliamentarians or fellow politicians outside the country. Back in the Philippines, I still haven't met my mom ever since I got elected. I've been to the Philippines twice, but it was for work, and because we only stayed in Manila. And my family is back in Davao City, that's in Mindanao. That's about an hour-and-a-half flight away from Manila. So I haven't seen her, but we've been talking, and I've been in the. She calls me up. She sends me messages that I've been in the newspaper or you're out on the TV. Actually, I didn't even tell her that I'm running. Yes, I'm going to. I'm running for last year. I didn't tell her. I told her after the elections that I already got elected.
Because you were worried about her reaction, because she would be opposed to you running, or because you were afraid of letting her down if you didn't make it?
If I didn't make it, because she heard back in 2010, I also made the news about the city council thing, and she was like so worried. She's not very much into politics, so she's kind of worried, and she's worried that I'm here alone, and my husband's not here with me. She thinks I might have a difficult time, and I don't want to put her down when I really don't. If I don't manage to get through, but the next day I called her. In the afternoon, that's April 12th, because April 11 was the election. April 12th, I called her up, and she was wondering, okay, Mom, I got it was you. She was like, what was I? And then she was like, oh, I saw there was a news flash on TV that a Filipina born, the first naturalized Korean member of the Assembly got elected. And I had this weird feeling, but there wasn't a name. There wasn't a name there, so she went, yeah, it was me. And how dare you now, just telling me now. She was so upset at first, and then she got worried after that, because she didn't want to know, didn't really
Right.
Yeah, she didn't want to get worried more.
But a year later now, is she must be very proud of you, very happy.
Yes, very actually. There's a lot of people talking about me, the vice president, giving out articles. You know, making. She sees me in the newspaper. I mean, I see you often. She would tell me that I'm seeing more of you in the newspaper than you in person. But yeah, but she's still worried, and she still can't grasp the idea of what are you again? How did you become a member of the assembly? So, well, I through proportional representation, and what do you represent? I mean, the multicultural sector of Korea. What is a multicultural sector? Okay, we call multicultural family in Korea those families who's made up of a Korean and a foreign and someone from a foreign, someone foreign born, and that family is called multicultural family. And because only Korea has this multicultural family term, she still can't grasp the idea. What's a multicultural family?
Well, I want to get to that term actually,
Okay.
how we define that. But before that, let's talk about your husband and how you came to Korea for the first
Okay.
time. I think some of our audience members, and probably we do know the story,
Yes.
how you met in the Philippines. But I remember hearing that you came to Korea thinking that it was just going to be a short visit to say hello to your husband's
Yeah.
parents, and then it's
Yeah,
been
it's just,
17 years or 18 years since.
People will actually ask me how different it is for me, or how do I think of Korea, or wasn't I worried when I come here? I couldn't be worried when I come here because we're supposed to just meet and greet the parents. And we're supposed to just say, "Hi, I'm your new daughter-in-law," and bye. That was actually the idea. But yeah, because of this and that excuses, I got to be saying hi. I'm saying hi to them. I've been meeting and greeting the parents for the past 19 years. Yeah.
But could you briefly tell us about how you met your husband for the first time?
When I told this story, there was a particular reporter who told me, it's a fate sealed by a bottle of Coke. That's what he calls it, because my husband came. He went into the store, my parents' store, and he was just there to buy something to drink. And then he saw me. And then, well, according to him,
Love at first sight.
it was love at first sight, that's according to him. For me, he was like another foreign customer coming in and buying drinks. Because back then I was in first year in college. So I really, hello, and he was there for 3 days and was going back and forth and buying a lot of stuff. And before he left, he actually had my number, not my number, our store's number and our store's address. So after that, he kept on sending things, calling, sending letters and everything. So it started the whole thing.
So it's a case of that Korean saying where, if you go at with an axe at a tree for 100 times, the tree will fall down.
Yeah, the tree will fall
Persistence
down.
and
Yes,
patience.
persistence. So we went out for, I think, at least a year and a half. Yeah, at most a year and a half before we got married. And that was the thought when I got married. He kind of told me that, he's going to stay in the Philippines. We're going to live in the Philippines. I'm going to finish my studies. And even though we were married. So I got married, and it didn't happen that way.
But perhaps you tried to make up for it, because once you did come back to Korea and you settled down here, you became very active. You were on TV and you were doing quite a lot of stuff. Was your husband helping you from the back? I mean, was he supporting
actually,
you? And
he is a very big support, but for 10 years, most of the time, for the first 10 years of my life here, I wasn't out in the limelight. I was just a plain, as you say, a very plain housewife. I'm at home, and I'm not doing anything. And I didn't really think that I can do anything back then, because I didn't finish college. And back then, you can see in the newspapers that, here in Korea, people with PhDs, people with masters don't even have a place to work. They're jobless and all those things. Okay, they're unemployed. Right. So, what can someone like me do in Korea? So I just stayed at home, and that was it. But my husband was he was very supportive. He wanted me to explore. He wanted me to go out and explore all the possibilities that I can do. I know you're a smart woman. I know I married a smart woman. Come on. It's just like something like that. And I started to work everything started when I started to work for the TV industry, actually, for the media. I worked for KBS. I started out, I actually started out as a contestant in a singing contest, but after on, I became the interpreter. I translated documentaries and all of those stuff, and went to the program Love in Asia, and it just rolled out from there.
So everything just kind of snowballed from that singing
Yes.
contest. You were number one? You
No.
came out on top of number one? You didn't even win the grand prize, no?
I didn't even went close enough to to winning anything. Not even the what do you call it, the inki-sang.
But you certainly caught someone's eye, I'm sure.
I think what caught their attention was the fact that I speak Korean, and I've been living in Korea for more than 10 years, and we're living 4 generations under one roof. It's actually a perfect story for the
TV?
Myeongjol,
Yes.
the Myeongjol times.
Right.
During
Holidays.
the holidays, where you can see a lot of family-oriented documentaries or family-oriented programs, and it's a perfect story for TV for the holidays. That's why they started to call out for me for to do a holiday special.
And I heard it was even more appealing because not only is it quite rare for 4 generations to be living for a Korean family,
Yes.
but yours was an international marriage, and on
Yes.
top of that, you were very happy. 4 generations international under one roof.
Okay, I'm just gonna give one. I knew my husband told me that it's different. The culture in Korea is different. That we have to live with his parents. But here in Korea, you have the word mushinda. Mushinda means that you have to.
Mushinda,
Yeah,
yes, to sort
it's-
of,
You have to
revere
serve the
them and
parents.
serve them.
Yes, you have to serve the parents. But there isn't an English word
No.
for mushinda. So what he told me was like, we're going to live with my parents. That's with, 함께, right? So I don't have any troubles living with his parents because I've lived with my parents too.
Right,
So I was thinking it's going to be like my family back in the Philippines. So the sense of mushinda, or the serving of the parents, isn't in my mind when I came into the house.
But don't you have that in the Philippines when you also marry? Don't you sometimes go into the husband's house and live with
most
his
of the
parents?
time, the husband comes to the women's house. Yeah, that's why it's a very different culture. It's what you call here in Korea. It's not sijipsari, it's chogasari.
Chogasari.
Where the husband, the man, actually serves the groom actually serves the family of the bride. Yes, the mushinda. So it's kind of different.
A role model for other women who came to Korea because of marriage. And now that you're a National Assemblywoman, of course, you're in the power to help out those women, these marriage immigrants. Tell us about a school that you recently set up.
Oh, okay. This is the name will actually sound weird in English because it will actually translate into Dream School, but it's quite odd. We named it 꿈 Dream 학교. But now, 꿈 means dream in Korea, and if you pronounce the word dream in Korea, you can actually have dream. So we actually, but in part, dream means giving out dreams,
Presenting,
presenting or giving out dreams.
Right.
So it's a school that will give out dreams to marriage immigrants, especially to female immigrants. We have 20 students right now. We wanted to keep it. We wanted to keep it a small number so we can actually concentrate on their particular dreams because. While I was here in Korea, I particularly didn't have any dream, you know, what I'm going to do with my life or what road am I going to take or if there's a way for me to work or have a career rather than just being a mom or just being a housewife. So, and then later on, when I went through my life and then I've been doing a lot of stuff, I get to look back. I've been in this program, Love in Asia, and I get to look back and I get to ask people. And most of the marriage immigrants will actually have a very limited dream. I mean, they have very limited choices. Like they would actually be, you know, multicultural teachers teaching their own culture to students, or they will actually be translators. I mean, there's not a wide range of options for them. Right. So I wanted to actually, when I was still doing my network jobs, I actually wanted the TV network to have a particular program where you can have marriage immigrants have experience, you know, go into companies and they go into a particular job and experience how it does, even for 24 hours, you know, just to widen their options and just for them to see that there's a job like this and then for them to experience if they can do the job or not. But it took a lot of difficulty for me to convince the TV stations, and I've been talking to a lot of them, and it didn't push through. So when I came to the assembly, I think that I can actually help them, you know, just finding out. And it was so sad because when we gave out the applications, one of the questions there is, what's your dream? And there's one particular lady who actually answered that my dream is to have a dream. Now, these women are taking care of kids, you know, and giving them their families. And, you know, you ask kids, you tell kids, you know, you have to dream big, you dream this and you dream that. And themselves, they don't even have a dream for themselves. They don't even know what to do with their lives. So it's kind of so sad. So that's what I wanted to give them out. But at the beginning now, I wanted to make it big. But now I realized that it would be a lot better for them to at least listen to the experiences of those marriage immigrants who already have found their places in the society. And I think it would be a good way for them to compare how they're doing right now and what all of these women, what all of these successful marriage immigrants have been doing or have done to be able to reach wherever they are right now.
Super. So with that, Ashley, let's take a look. We have footage of the opening of the Dream School. So let's take a look at the video first.
Yeongdeung-pogu, Seoul, the Memorial Hall in the National Assembly. It's the first day of the Kum Dream School for married immigrant women. Married immigrant women who have lived in Korea for 5 or more years were eligible to apply. 20 were admitted, and they're here today for the opening ceremony.
I think this will be a very big opportunity, a very great opportunity for people, for marriage immigrants out there. So as of the moment, we only have 20 students, but we're trying to actually get more on the second or the third batch.
Once a month, members of the first class of Kum Dream School will hear lectures from other married immigrant women who became professors, police officers, public officials, interpreters, and more. Assemblywoman Lee is the inaugural lecturer. She has been active in helping multicultural families adjust to Korean society. She shared her experiences and life story with the students, acting as their mentor.
인자들이 이제 공부하고 싶어 하시는 분들이 많으세요. 그래서 그런 분들이 경제적으로 어렵지만 대학에 조금이나 도움을 받아서 대학에 다닐 수 있고 그들이 꿈을 이룰 수 있도록 그렇게 해주시면 좋을 것 같습니다.
앞으로 나의 꿈은 키우고 앞으로 저희 살고 있는 지방 친구들 위해서 그 친구들한테 좀 알려주고 자기도 자신감을 좀 챙기고 한국 생활할 수 있게 제가 여기 멀리지만 여기 와서 수업받고 싶습니다.
At the Kum Dream School, immigrant women are finally finding inspiration for and by women like themselves.
우리 그 이주민 여성들한테 정말 좋은 기회인 것 같습니다. 이렇게 국회 차원에서 또 이자스민 의원께서 이렇게 정말 적극적으로 나서셔서 이렇게 학교를 만들었는데 알고 싶은 것들, 궁금한 것들, 그리고 꿈을 찾아가는 그런 지름길이 됐으면 참 좋겠습니다. 많은 분들께서 동참하셔서 정말 좋은 공부 많이 하시기를 빌겠습니다. 그리고 꿈을 꼭 이루시기를 저는 또 기도하겠습니다.
You mentioned that one of the criteria for becoming a student of the Dream School is that they need to know Korean, to
Yes.
listen and speak Korean. But how did you learn Korean, or how would these women learn Korean? Is it easy for you to do that?
When I first came to Korea, the only Korean word that I know the translation of is 안녕하세요 and 고맙습니다. That would be thank you and hello or a greeting. But before I came here, I received books and there was no CDs back then. It was cassette tapes. So I have cassette tapes. I have books of Korean. So I can read Korean. I can write Korean, but I don't really know what it means. So I kind of got so excited when I first went on a plane, and I can read the Korean words in there. And when I got off the plane too, I can read all of the Korean words on the streets, in the billboards, and everything. It made me wonder, okay, what does these words mean? I mean, it made me a lot interested in learning about Korean more. But when we came here, I told you earlier about people asking how my husband makes, and he makes like $1 million back then. He makes $1 million a month, and there was a school right near our house where they have the language institute, and we inquired on how much it would cost for me to learn Korean, and they said back then they were offering Korean classes for 3 months for 2.5 million won.
Oh no.
Yes, actually that's $2,500. So if I'm going to attend at school, we're not going to eat anything for the rest of the 3 months. So I told her, I told my husband, we're not. I mean, I cannot go there. And there weren't any free
Classes back then.
institutes or free centers who's giving out any of those lessons. So the TV dramas is actually the biggest help that you can have, because they talk and then you see them move. So you can see them going to a particular store and asking 얼마예요. So when you see them, oh, okay, that's what you do when you go to a store. And it became my teacher, the TV and the newspapers.
Wow.
And then the words that I get or I learn from the TV or newspapers, I use to the people I live with at home. I have a lot of people living with me at home, so I have to talk to them, and then I go out and then talk to people, and it just became a habit. People would ask me, how long did it take you to learn Korean? And I don't remember actually when I actually started speaking in Korean, but my mother-in-law will actually told me, and my mother-in-law will tell people that in less than a year, she's going out by herself. She goes to the market and then talks to a lot of people. So I think people were quite forgiving back then, even if you don't really speak very good Korean.
I think you're very modest. You must have been very gifted at learning. And I imagine the other women who come to the school, we talked about before, it's absolutely necessary that they have the support of their husbands and their families.
Yes.
So why is it so difficult for women, for marriage immigrants, to live or have dreams in Korea? Why is it so difficult?
Well, actually, being a woman in Korea will actually, I know you're facing a lot of difficulty, and then add to that the fact that you don't really know the language. You have you have a handicap in the one. You don't know the language well enough. You don't know the culture well enough, and it's not only I think it's not only the support of the family, but the support of the government itself too. Most of the government support that they're giving out is only short term. Our government haven't looked upon the long-term ideas or the long-term projects for Korea to face a multicultural society, and I know for sure Korea will become. It's now a multicultural society per se, but there's going to be a lot more immigrants coming into this country. So what we need is actually long-term projects to actually help them out. Most of the marriage immigrants the international marriages, the average age gap is 17 years. So you can see that when these women turn 40, their husbands will be 60 or will be retired by then, and then they'll be the one left to take care of the family. So we have to open up possibilities for this marriage, for the marriage immigrants to be able to work here in Korea and be productive members of the society. Actually, that's what the government should do, I think.
And it sounds like you're trying to do that with the Dream School. It's probably
Yes.
one measure to get these women to become more self-reliant, self-dependent, not just receiving support, but being able to not only find their own dreams, but find ways to realize their dreams.
And we have to remember that, you know, giving these women dreams, giving them opportunities will actually affect how their children look upon the society or look upon their parents or look upon how the society is looking onto their parents. So, you know, the more respect that they have to their parents, the more respect that they will have to the society that they will grow upon, and they will actually, the more comfortable the parents feel, because you're going to give out the vibes to your kids. You know, if you feel negative about something, about the life you're in, you're just going to send it to the kids too. But if you're feeling so positive about the life that you have, you're going to be sending out all those positive energy to the kids too. So you can actually look into the future with these kids. I mean, in a better view.
Okay. You mentioned briefly before that people said you came from a more privileged background.
Yeah.
Your case was a little bit more special, and you said that you didn't even finish college.
Yes.
But there must be certain aspects, I imagine, that of maybe your background, maybe your personality, that have allowed you to come to where you are today. What do you think that is, and what is it that you wish to share of your experience with other women then?
I've always told them there's only one thing that will actually help you out, no matter what situation you're in. It's actually positive thinking. You have to be an eternal optimist, and I tell them a lot to meet a lot of people. You know, don't stay in, don't just stay within yourself, or get out of the box, meet people. When my son was like still in elementary school, I was afraid to go to his school because people might think of him as a foreigner, or I might be giving him more harm than he would actually want to have. So
did you?
I stayed at home, and then later on I didn't have any choice. When I started to go out and visit his school, it was different. People, at first, they called me 외국인, foreigner. But then later on, they got used to seeing me at school. They got used to the thought that I have a son at school, that I'm like any other mother. I talk to the teacher, I clean the classroom.
Serve lunch.
Yes, I serve lunch. So I do all those stuff like any ordinary mom will do. And then it just changed. Hey, Sungun's mom. And they started to call me my son's, Sungun's mom. So I want them to, go out, find whatever it is that you can actually do. Don't think short of yourself. Really, there's a big world out there. You have to think positive. And even if you actually stumble, there's a lot of stumbling that you're gonna do. Going to whatever it is that you wanna achieve. But you just have to stay positive. And the best thing is you have to believe that you have a family who's rooting for you.
Right.
That's the biggest help that I have. I know back then, even how difficult things are, I get to think within myself that, I have a family to fall back on. They're going to push me back up. So it's a big relief, and it's a big comfort.
I remember hearing you speak once, and you said after your husband passed away, people were saying, why don't you go home?
Yes.
And then you said, my home is here. My home is in Korea. And I thought that was a wonderful answer. But your husband passing away, and after you became National Assemblywoman, there were some ugly things on the internet. Didn't you ever think, why am I know you're a positive person, but my family, why don't I just go back to the Philippines? I can take my children, and life would be so much more easier maybe in the Philippines. Didn't that thought ever cross your mind?
Actually, the question wasn't why don't you come back? The question is, when are you going
When?
back? Yeah.
Oh.
So they're actually expecting me to go back. It's like people thinks of it as common sense. If it's common sense, she's supposed to go back. But it really didn't cross my mind. When I changed my citizenship, I decided that I'm going to live in Korea. The reason that I changed my citizenship is because of my kids. I know that they're going to grow up here and they're going to have a life here. And it's like, if I go back, it will be easier for me. But what will it be for my kids? Yeah, people haven't even really thought about it. I mean, they have their friends here. They have families here. They have their school here. I mean, they have their teachers. They have their whole lives here. And if I just bring them back home, maybe it might be easier for me, but not for them. And I don't want them to go through the same difficulty that I had when I first came here. And besides, the only time that there's only one time that me and my husband talked about going back to the Philippines. That's when we reached our 60s, when we, sent everyone, our two kids, and they got married. We can go back to the Philippines and live there. That was our only plan, and I'm still sticking to that plan. Yes.
Did you ever maybe not think about going back, but did you ever regret going into politics then, when there were those hurtful remarks and you became the subject of so much attention, negative and positive?
It was for a while. For a while, I thought, oh, maybe I made the wrong decision to come here, because when I was out on television, when I was in the media, it was also positive, because people were looking up to me as a positive influence for all of the other marriage immigrants, a positive role model. And then suddenly, it's just, in the twist of fate, I went to politics. I mean, the person didn't change. I'm the same me who was out on the television just a week ago, and now everyone is so negative about you. And for a while, I thought maybe I made the wrong decision. But when those things happens, I received a lot of phone calls, people cheering me on. That it's just a while. It's not your fault, and it's just a small number of people. It's just a small number of people. There's a lot more people rooting out for you. And then when I decided to get out and meet people, and then see, especially the marriage immigrants. If you just see them, how they look at you, and they look at you with hope that you're it. You're making it happen for us, and then they're looking up at you, thinking of the future. So thinking of what they can possibly do. So it made me regret the slight moment that I regretted getting into politics, actually.
So you have the expectations of the other marriage immigrants. You have the expectations of probably people in the Philippines who are also looking up to you, a source of pride. You have the expectations of Korean people who are looking at you with probably closer scrutiny than others.
Yes.
So what do you think sets you apart as a National Assemblywoman? Or what do you aim to do that will set you apart?
Well, actually, the reason that I came to the Assembly is, actually to be the voice and to represent the multicultural families. The notion was the multicultural family of Korea, but I've always told a lot of people that the multicultural society, Korea, the multicultural Korea, it's not a multicultural family. The multicultural Korea is 50 million people. I mean, the whole population is multicultural. You don't talk about a particular family that is different from all the rest of the families here in Korea. This is a multicultural society, and for me, working on for the betterment, for people to actually see the positive side of of being a multicultural society is my main goal. And as I've told you, I've been working upon having a control tower for the multicultural policies, because of the fact that 11 ministries right now is working, and they have projects. They receive budgets for multicultural families or for multicultural projects, but it doesn't really help out. So we need a group, we need an agency, or we need this control tower who will actually look upon what multicultural society Korea will look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Not the short-term ministry projects, but the long-term results, and how Korea is going to cope up in being a multicultural society, and how Korea is going to cope up with the problems that will arise in the future. So that's actually my main goal.
So let's talk about the term now, multicultural, because you said, yeah, even your mother said there's no such thing in the Philippines,
Yes.
and defining it itself is maybe setting lines and cutting borders and
Yes.
setting limitations. But is there an alternative term, you think, or do we not need the term at all?
Okay. When I first came to an assembly, I have this goal. I have to get rid of the word tamunha. I have to get rid of the word multicultural. So that was my main goal when I came into the assembly. And then I came to the assembly and I learned everything about how the policies get through, how the bills, how the laws are being made. And I realized that if we remove the word multicultural family, there won't be any policies to support them. So we're going to lose all of the support processes that we have right now, all of the policies that's supporting multicultural families right now. And it's actually how people view the word that's making it look bad. But in all actuality, when the word was made, it was made with, to have people, to make it sound more positive to people. But still, when you brand something, it will actually be a term for a particular brand. So it definitely marginalize people, but it definitely, the word, having a term, having a particular term for this sector of the society, just like how you label the disabled community, you get to have more policies written up to support the said sector. But as of the moment, because we only have, as you mentioned, we only have like 200,000 marriage immigrants as of the moment, 1.5 million. It's not even 5% of not even 5% of the whole population. So we still can, I think, for me personally, the government can still shoulder the budget for such a small number of people. But when these numbers grow, the government will actually have a difficulty setting another budget for another sector, for another group of people in the society. So they will actually think that, rather than making another separate budget for this particular sector, we can actually just find something, to mix it up with the whole population itself. And the whole multicultural family term will actually just naturally disappear from the policies. So I'm looking at like 10 years, another 10 years right now, and you won't really actually have to define multicultural family anymore.
Well, as you mentioned, I think 150,000 children are born to these international parents. So that's a lot of votes too, and that's going to be a huge force in our society, especially now when the birth rate is so low.
Yes.
As a mom, as a National Assemblyman, how would you like to see these kids being more smoothly, or is there any need for these special field trips or cultural integration, or do we just
we
treat
have
them
to,
like any other children?
Yeah, you have to see this at two angles, because those kids who are born here and who grew up here in Korea, they really don't have pretty much problems as much as those who actually came in with their moms who grew up in another country and came into Korea in their teens or maybe before 10 years old. They already have an accepted culture. They already have an accepted identity, and when they come here, they kind of have, you have to learn the language again. You have to you have to look for yourself, and then where do they fit in? So it's a different problem between these two groups of kids. So we have to look at them differently. You have to make policies for them. You have to make support for them differently, because they're pretty much different. So later on, I think what we need help with are the kids, especially who grew up from another country. They're actually the number is actually increasing as of the moment. So we have to distinguish first the kids from multicultural families who actually grew up from another country and who actually were born and grew up here in Korea. So they have different needs. So we have to actually acknowledge their needs and do something about the needs, not about the group itself.
Okay. Well, we're talking to National Assemblywoman Jasmine Lee, and we'll be right back after this. heard you have students taking the train to come up to these classes.
Hi, I'm here. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be able to come to this school. So it's
Small price to pay for getting a dream, I think. So in the beginning of the show, we asked the question, how open or accepting are Koreans of minorities in our society? I would like for you to answer that and maybe what we can do to change that for the better.
People were actually asking me how it was back 19 years ago and now, and they think that it's a lot better now because we have a lot of support for the multicultural sector of the society. But I actually think there's a lot of change. There's a lot of change with the perspective, with how people look upon multiculturalism. We have anti-multicultural groups now. A few number of groups is already, anti-multiculturalism. Right. So you can see that there's a growth in the negativity of the of having a multicultural society. So I think people do understand right now. People understand that we have to go global. We have to be a multicultural society. It's not we have to, but it's going to be a multicultural society, and people do understand. But they still, as I've said, you only have it's less than 5% of the total population. So you can't really say that people have met a lot of marriage immigrants or met a lot of foreigners during their time, during the whole time that they're here in Korea. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's a problem for them, or it doesn't feel like it's a part of their world. Like many Koreans still think that multiculturalism or marriage immigrants, multicultural family. They don't really. Yes, they don't. Yeah, it has nothing to do with me. Sometimes there's still a lot of people who's thinking like that. So I think, but they understand. I mean, the society understand that there's changes, and the changes there's more changes coming, and there's more people, and we're bound to accept more people. We're bound to accept more people. So. Understanding is quite different from accepting it, actually, but they can actually understand it. Like other people, it's okay, they can get married, and I understand that, it's their situation. They can find this or they can find that. Problem is when it comes to themselves, no way, I won't do that. So it's difficult when it comes to them in personally accepting it, not just understanding it. So it's very different. Back then, back in my time, you only see a few of us. You don't see lots in numbers. So it's not frightening for them to see foreign people back then. People get just curious to how how you were able to come to Korea. But now these days, people are somewhat frightened of the fact of what multiculturalism will actually bring upon Korea. It's like the same scare that actually is putting people on what will unification bring about to Korea. So it's in part they're frightened. There's a lot of people who are frightened because people tend to be frightened with things that they don't know, things that you don't know and things that you don't understand. So we need more education for people to understand multiculturalism, at least start with the teachers who are forming the minds of these young kids. We actually saw that the acceptance level of children and of teenagers about multiculturalism is a lot higher than those of the adults. So I think we need to start from the bottom down, from the children, education of the children, education of the public, education of the government employees too, and then how they understand multiculturalism so they can implement the laws better. It's not like you're going to make it, you have to. It's not something that they have to do, but at least once that the realization, sometimes because I met people who say, okay, people are talking about multiculturalism, but I don't really understand it. So who do I ask about it? So, at least they can, once they open their minds and they started to see that, I think if someone explains this to me, I can actually understand, and they can just go somewhere and be educated and be, better informed.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us here today.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Well, understanding and accepting differences is, I'm sure, the end goal of not only National Assemblywoman Jasmine Lee, but of all the families here in Korea, all 50 million of us. And you can watch our show once again here on ARIRANGTV.com's homepage, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you very much for joining us.